What's up guys, it is StarFlorge here, and today I'm gonna give a Trespasser review and also at the end talk about what I want from Trespasser to go into the new Dragon Age that will hopefully come out as we all hope. Now I'm going to talk about some of the good things first, and one of the best things I think is the toggle upgrades that you can get, because this really gives a very unique feel to your build. A lot of builds in the game were very generic. You could do pretty much everything, but at the same time, like most games, there are these kind of standard builds that pretty much everyone goes. If you're a Rift Mage, you go kind of down one path and so on and so on, and this can give you so much versatility, and now I feel there's so much more in terms of actually fulfilling your role. Now you can fulfill your role in many ways. You can be a damage dealer, a CC, a support, healer, anything you want to be pretty much. Complete ultimate tank, things like that. And now with the new upgrades, there are so many more builds that you can do, so many more variations, and I really like the way the kind of skill system works in Dragon Age, and I hope they keep what they have done this year in pretty much the whole forever. I mean, they had a very similar thing in Dragon Age 2 and nothing like it in Dragon Age. But obviously it worked pretty well in Dragon Age 2, and I found that as well. I really liked it. And then I really liked the new, the same one in this one, but also with the toggle upgrades. One thing, however, they need to probably try and add in from the very first Dragon Age is the old tactics, because the tactics this time round is just there's barely any. Now I'm not sure whether it's actually a good thing in the fact that it makes them be able to make the AI itself better, rather than you have to pretty much do everything for the AI and tell it when to do things. But I still think things like telling certain things to use spells, maybe on a only use a spell when target is frozen, something like that. I'm sure hopefully that can be put in the game. That would be amazing. Another good thing is the set piece. Now there was one set piece I found, I'm not sure if there were any, but it was really nice. They had a 2, 3 and a 4 set, which would, whenever you activated a spell, give you the bonuses based on them, and I think it was attack speed, move speed, and then I think something about healing or dealing 1% damage to them. Not sure, but it was really cool, so that every time you used an ability you got that set bonus, and I really hope they put in more set bonuses. And kind of like, in a way, things like a lot of games where they have like heroics and mythic, where the harder you get in your content, obviously the better gear you get, that's obvious, but have multiple set bonuses. It was really annoying to see that they only had the one, and I believe it was all based around the archers in a way, and that I was quite annoyed about, because I really wanted to try it out, and it's so annoying that we can't use it in anything else but the Trespasser DLC. Now, one thing I would also like with set bonuses, maybe more passives, like the Fade Touched crafting you can get, where you have chances to proc things. I would quite like that, to see that on more armor rather than just weapons mainly, because obviously for the weapons you got things like 10% chance to cast lightning with 100% damage, so on. But there wasn't so many things to do with the armor itself. You could put things in it to do the exact same thing, but when armor dropped you usually wouldn't get the same kind of thing. But I really want set bonuses a lot more. I think being able to get sets is so much nicer. Crafting sets I'm not entirely sure about. I feel like the whole point of going out and getting an epic set is the best thing about it, and then being an achievement as well. Especially it should be that maybe the end piece of the set, the last bonus should be better than the first. The first bonus, and then the second bonus should be better than that, and the third should be better than them all. And I think that maybe like one piece of gear is really hard to get behind a really hard boss, so maybe it'll be like a dragon or something like that. That would be really cool, because then you would feel really rewarded, and you would actually get something in return for killing an awesome boss. Now, some of the amulets at the end of the game were quite annoying and just OP beyond belief. Ones that mean you couldn't take any physical damage and so on, which I did like, because it made it so much easier, but in a way I was kind of annoyed, because I'd rather just have more magic, like plus 20 magic amulets or something like that. But then also with the patch just before it, with the new amulets and rings and stuff, they were really cool, especially the Ring of Doubt. I kind of feel that there is a lot more things like this gonna come in the new Dragon Age, because the fact that it was added in just before Trespasser, and then when Trespasser came out, there were all these new ideas, and there was these new sigils as well, which I think is really cool, and I want it to be continued in the game. That was really cool. Now, I've talked a lot about positives, and I want to go into a few of the negatives. I probably haven't covered everything, just because there is so much going through my head about what's going on. But for the negatives, now the one biggest thing that frustrated me beyond belief is the end boss. The end boss was a great fight, okay? It sounds stupid because I'm saying it's so frustrating, the last boss, but the last boss was a good fight. I loved it. I thought it was such a nice fight to do. And pretty challenging in some ways, although I didn't even lose a single party member. It was way funner than most of the previous bosses. But what really annoyed me is we had gone through all of this stuff just to kill this last boss to then get nothing, which really frustrated me. I always feel like if you're doing something really difficult and challenging and you do it, you need to get rewarded, and all we got was nothing and then the end of the game. And that annoyed me. It could have been something they put in the game which maybe allowed you to go on in your previous saves, or like find a golden nug. Like if it was like a super epic schematic or something, like it would be the best schematic. Not ridiculously overpowered, but the best one, so that you could go and then find a golden nug, and then which was at the end as well, and then you could save it, so then you could use it on your other characters as well. Because that's one thing that annoyed me. We kind of got to the end of it, and now it's over. So all these stuff, apart from some of the schematics that you got before the golden nug, you're kind of just gonna have to throw away. I really wanted to try the set bonus out in some builds, however, I'm not going to be able to do that anymore because I've completed it, and I have no clue where my saves are. It's all over the place, but I definitely know my ones before it. And that is one thing that really annoyed me. Apart from that, the only negative I would give is the huge amount of bugs. There were a lot of people complaining about bugs, and there were so many bugs. I have released the build of the 100% crit energy barrage. Now, some people have said they can't actually do it. I have done it 100% flawlessly, but there are so many bugs. I mean, I couldn't crit with Flashpoint or Fire Mine, which led me to make that the highest mage damage build at the time. Then Trespasser came out, and obviously there were like the new Fire Mines, which are absolutely broken. But things like that, and then I was walking through non-fire resist mobs, just taking 1 damage, and I was like, why? Made sure they weren't fire immune, they weren't, and then they stepped on another mine and they took like 1,000. I'm like, okay, this is strange, and then I did it again, and guess what? I started hitting 30k, so it goes from on the same mob to 1 to 1,000 to 30k, and that is something that I just don't get how it works. Really annoying. And then obviously with the new spells, there was that one warrior spell that made everyone's game crash, and it made my game crash for ages, and then I couldn't do anything for half an hour because I was just constantly crashing. The new puzzles in the game were actually a really good thing. I think that is really cool. But definitely for Dragon Age 4, I think they need to make sure no bugs. Whenever you release a DLC, get that bug tested, or even give a small beta out to a few people that literally want to be dedicated to finding out bugs. Like I do a lot of my builds. You know, my first ever video and my most recent are both exploits that I have found just by me wanting to test out things, test out all the new spells and how they worked and find things. So surely something like that with a beta for DLCs would be so much better before releasing them, and then just constantly people getting game crashes, then half the time being like, why is my game crashing? That's what happened to me. Then also in Dragon Age 4, I've talked about it, but set pieces, they are what I want. They are one thing that I think needs to be kept. Definitely. I mean, kept because they only added in one, which I think was a bit of a test. I heard an interview once which was saying that Dragon Age Inquisition, a lot of it was about testing things, and definitely the set bonus, it worked. I hope they get the message it worked. They probably won't get it from me. I'm only small, but hopefully there are some bigger players in YouTube with Dragon Age Inquisition that will kind of get this point across. The set pieces were incredible. They were really good. It was only on one armor set, but I thought it was great. The second I found the first item to do with set, I was dying for it. I wanted that so bad. I wanted to find all of them. I did. Shame I didn't have an archer, because there are so many characters you just can't use, which, again, that's one annoying thing. There are so many characters you can't use. And also, if you have followers in Dragon Age 4, like Dragon Age Inquisition, allow us to know, to have a backup. Because when I was doing my main character, I forgot to get Sierra, I think that's her name, and then so I could never get her. So I've never ever been able to have a Tempest Archer, which has been really annoying, and there's no way to go back and get that. And then Solas, obviously he just disappeared. So if you didn't choose a Rift Mage, or you weren't even a mage, you wouldn't have a Rift Mage in your party. I really think they should add something like more followers, like Dragon Age Origins. There were so many followers in there, and that was really fun, and pretty much all of them had their own story for you to follow, and then get the quest, and then go and find them, and then actually get them as a follower. But I just find it really annoying how you just got kind of a follower of each one, and if they disappeared, they disappeared, and you could not have that person in your party, because half the gear revolved around Archer. But I never take Varric, because I hate the fact that he can only use the one weapon, and then you can't use anything else, so I didn't take him. So the set piece was basically pointless for me. So I have been rabbiting on for quite a while. Now, Dragon Age 4, there is a few things I really want in there. Now, unlike most games, with multiplayer being so hard, so the one thing that makes PvP specifically, I always think PvP in Dragon Age Inquisition would be a great idea, to be able to test your skills against other players. And I thought of one of two ways that this could be done. Now, PvP is a great thing. The fact that there is set loot and not random loot with random things like Diablo or anything makes PvP a lot easier, because obviously they can balance it themselves. Then you've got the one problem of balancing the spells and stuff, but they've had to do that anyway, because obviously if there's one overpowered build, even in PvP, you've got to nerf it. But then it's different whether you give people the pieces, like, say, you have a certain set, and everyone just gets these sets when you go into PvP, like a Guild Wars 2 kind of style, or you can just take your own gear in. But I think the Guild Wars 2 style, in a way, would make it easier for the developers, because really they can just balance the gear themselves straight up, and it's only one set they have to balance. But then at the same time, using your own gear is really cool, because you've kind of, you've worked for it, and now you can use it to destroy people. But make the multiplayer better. They did a bit of multiplayer, and it was shocking. To be frank, I thought it was awful, and I think quite a lot of people have the same opinion. Why can we buy stuff? We've already paid like £40 for the actual Dragon Age, then paid about another 22 in total for each DLC, and yet we still have to pay for chests to be able to get things, unlock characters and stuff. Why do we have to do that? You shouldn't. Maybe you should have to go in and do a certain zone to unlock a character, not have to buy them. I think microtransactions are coming annoyingly into games, and it shouldn't be. In a AAA game, when you pay £40 for a game, you kind of expect to get everything for free apart from DLCs. So why the hell do we have to pay for some silly chests? But that just really frustrated me. The second I saw that, I basically quit the multiplayer. And then I went to it later, went on it, and I just found it frustrating how there was no way to really kind of solo your way through, and you had to run a multiplayer. And then when you went on to multiplayer, and if you were level 1, you'd probably just get paired with a level 13 that runs around and kills everything. And that was my experience, so I've hated it. And I think unless you have friends that have the game, your multiplayer experience probably won't be that good. So that's pretty much everything I have to say. Dragon Age 4 set pieces. Dragon Age Trespasser, it was good, but with its flaws, and it's annoying how it's just ended, but obviously that is the story as it goes. However, set pieces were amazing. If you want to get Trespasser, I would say only get it if you are at the very end of the game. That is it. The other DLC, the Jaws of Hackon, was great. I loved that one. That one gave you a good reward at the end. That's what I really liked. But Trespasser, don't expect to be rewarded much. It is the end. I think that's why they didn't reward you, because it's at the end. What's the point? Because you just get it and then it's pointless. But that's why I think the schematic would have been good. So overall, I think buy the DLC now. Pretty much, what you will get is the new upgrades, toggle upgrades, for pretty much the whole game, which is really nice. But don't do the DLC until the very end, and make sure you know where your saves are, because honestly, it is the end. That is it. It's over once you've completed this, but definitely get it for all of the toggle upgrades, which are really, really nice. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little discussion. Leave a like, comment below, and hit the subscribe button. I'll see you next time.